The winter air is cold and dry this California evening, January 16, 2017. How's this date significant, you might ask? Well, I'll tells you. This day marks the 7th anniversary of the Midnight Cruise Act Tree intermission, and with it the first mention of a gang of bozos called the Felt and the notorious boss, Lord English. But enough blabber. He's probably wanting the show to get on the road. So let's...
What the? Is someone starting a Fridgestuck episode without me?
Who's there? I'm you, from an alternate future where you start a gang and stuff.
That sounds like a load of bull. And you sound really familiar.
No, Ma, I mean...
Why is it so dark in here anyway?
Wait, don't...
Mercury?
Crap. Hi, Mom.
What are you trying to do, my teal, troublesome troll OC?
Well, you haven't made a Fridgestuck episode in a few months, and peeps were getting real nervous that there wouldn't be another one. So...
Yeah, I was busy. You would be too, with finals, a cold, and 4 different holidays, including my birthday, all crammed into 2 months.
Oh yeah, you're a quarter of a century now. How's that feel?
Like nothing's changed, yet the girls I mentor in youth groups say that I'm over the hill. Don't change the subject. I just got a little overworked, and I needed to spend some time focused on other things, like school, and my Pokemon Sun Let's Play.
The Let's Play no one watched even before Hive Swap was greenlit?
Hey. Well, you got the episode running, so I guess we should start the main meat of it. Welcome to Fridgestuck. Fridge facts and theories on the Felt and the Midnight Crew. You're free to stick around, Mercury, but you might want to get out of the way of the opening sequence, though.
What? Ow! Oh, why did you swing in from the ceiling? Aha!
Just a little disclaimer, folks. As a rule for the series, whenever there is a character in Homestuck who, due to time-space shenanigans, paradoxes, or alternate universes, has significant multiples of themselves running around in the narrative, I will distinguish them by their aliases in their own appropriately themed episodes. What I mean is that if a character's fridge facts overlap with an alternate version of themselves, there is a chance that the fact has or will appear in another episode with that alternate character. For example, if some facts about Lord English are more focused on Caliborn's actions or dialogue, they'll be in a Caliborn and or Calliope episode later in the series. With that, thank you for your patience. Let's get on with the episode. The Midnight Crew is a group of poker-based antagonists originally paid to appear in Problem Sleuth through 4 donations made by their original designer, Mayonaka. In the end, the gang did not end up appearing in the actual story, but were featured in an extra 13th episode of the comic, where they were summoned by Problem Sleuth to assist in their fight with the demon head mobster Kingpin. However, since their use in Andrew Hussey's following adventure Homestuck, they have grown to be major characters within the narrative. The name for the Midnight Crew came from a 1909 song by ragtime-era singer Eddie Morton, entitled "I'm a Member of the Midnight Crew." The chorus of this song was sampled in the background music for Soundpage Jack Ascend, and can be found in its complete length in Soundpage Terezi Play Records. An a cappella cover performed by David Coe from Homestuck's Volume 8 also appears in the comic during Soundpage DD Ascend More Casually. The members of the Midnight Crew are as follows: Spade Slick, Diamonds Droog, Clubs Deuce, and Hearts Boxcars. Spade Slick serves as the crew's always angry leader. His spades motif is connected to the troll romance for the Caligulous quadrant, as not only does he hate 99% of everything in existence, but his relationship with Snowman of the Felt is seen as a dead ringer for the quadrant, and is somewhat of a poster child for said quadrant in the comic. Diamond's Droog is the tall dude with a short fuse, and the team's cool, demeanored strategist. Droog is very connected with the Pale quadrant of troll romance, because not only does his name Droog, in Russian, translate as the word for friend, let's not forget the phrase, diamonds are a girl's best friend. Club's Deuce is the easily sidetracked demo man with a surprising kill record. Deuce's strife specibus is clubs, of which he has a wide variety. He is also the only character in Homestuck to have 3 fingers, connecting him with the Ashen Quadrant's club symbol. Heart's Boxcars is the team's muscle and expert safe cracker. The latter part of his name refers to the dice game of craps, where if you roll 2 6s, it's called a boxcar. Rolling 2 6s is alternatively called a midnight. So it's Heart's Midnight always rolls midnights in the Midnight Crew. What? Heart's Boxcar's passion for flushed romance links him to the quadrants like the other previously mentioned Midnight Crew members. He's so passionate about red romance that he even barges in on Tavros' thoughts and tries to get him to kiss Vriska. Continuing from this point, like most of the named Carapatians in Homestuck, the Midnight Crew and Snowman from the Felt are the exiles for Karkat Vantas, Solix Captor, Tavros Nitram, Aradia Megiddo, and Vriska Circuit. An interesting fact is that Heart's Boxcar's charge, Tavros Nitram, uses a lance, the same weapon Snowman uses. Inversely, Vriska Circuit, one of Snowman's charges, uses dice. The Felt, true to their overall billiards motif, got their name as a reference to pool tables being lined with green felt. It's been hinted at that their green skin is actually made of felt, or something similar to felt material. Each member of the Felt has a hat that alludes to the 15 numbered balls in pool. The only exceptions are Doc Scratch, whose head is the cue ball, and Lord English, who instead represents the cue stick. Let's start with itchy. The Japanese word for one is ichi. Dos comes from the Spanish word for 2, dos. Trace's name comes from the Spanish word for 3, tres. Clover's name comes from clovers, famous for their rare 4-leaf variety. Fin is slang for a US $5 bill, and die, I'm assuming, is for the D6 variety, which is most commonly known. Crowbar is named for an item that looks similar to the number 7. Also, there are 7 letters in the name Crowbar. For snowman, there are several multiple meanings. The word snowman is actually a term in poker, for pockets 8. Also, an 8 looks like a snowman in form. Not to mention the word snowman sounds like the phrase, "she's no man," spoken really fast, denoting the fact that only the 8-ball representative has ever been a female member of the Felt. Stitch's name comes from the phrase, "a stitch in time saves 9." Sawbuck is slang for a US $10 bill. Matchsticks comes from the fact that 2 matchsticks side by side look like the number 11. As for eggs, his namesake are notably sold by the dozen, and he has an egg timer, while biscuits has an oven, and a baker's dozen is 13. Quarters comes from the French word for 14, which is quatorze, and cans comes from the French word for 15, which is cans. Mayonaka's original idea about the Midnight Crew involved them having a leader, Professor Mayonaka, who was the arch-nemesis of Lord English. This idea never came into canon, but was not all forgotten. Easter eggs of Mayonaka's pendant appear twice in comic, once near the tail end of Act 3's intermission, and again in a chest in the 3rd and final open-bound section of Act 6. Shoutouts to the Midnight Crew's original creator. While Homestuck may primarily be a visual medium with no voice acting, we actually have a canon singing voice for Snowman, Rachel St. Marciel. In the Colors and Mayhem Universe A album, there's a bonus song called Your Universe, a love song from Snowman to Spade Slick concerning their colligonous romance, from beginning to bloody end. Droog holds strong ties to the novel and movie A Clockwork Orange. His hat and cue-stick weapon seem very similar to the hats and canes used by the Lackeys in main character Alex's gang of ne'er-do-wells, coincidentally called Droogs. In fact, one other connection between Droog and Clockwork Orange is made in one of his songs from the Midnight Crew Drawing Dead album, Carbon Nadsat, Cue-Stick Genius, as Nadsat is a type of slang used by Alex's gang, invented by Clockwork Orange's author, Anthony Burgess. Crowbar is known to be one of the more intelligent members of the Felt, and is often entrusted to keep operations and the other numbered lackeys in order. With that said, let's take a note of Crowbar's triangle-shaped hat. One recognizable tool for playing pool is the triangular-shaped rack, used to keep the colorful billiard balls organized together before a game can begin. Talk about your Midnight Crew meta. The kids in Homestuck read Emma's Paint Adventures, where the Midnight Crew is the current adventure. Later on, at one point, Spade Slick himself even visits mspaintadventures.com on his Crosby top, and he finds that Homestuck is in fact the current adventure there. Is this the real life? Or is this just fantasy? A few of the Felt members have powers that are pop culture references. Andrew Hussey has stated that the past and future trails of Trace and Finn were inspired by the future trails from the 2001 movie Donnie Darko. Another example comes from Biscuit's oven being bigger on the inside. Possibly one of the more obvious shoutouts to Doctor Who, and one of the many references that exist inside of Homestuck. And now it is time for another self-referential callback. As can be expected with a noir bunch of mooks, the Midnight Crew share a lot of themes and motifs from Andrew Hussey's previous work, Problem Sleuth. They were originally intended to be part of that comic anyway. The crew has a similar inventory system to the main characters in Problem Sleuth, complete with signature candy hidden on their person, and with all the object duality glitches still intact. Andrew Hussey, Photoshop artist that he is, uses a lot of real-world photos for his background art. The Felt's mansion is based on the real-world picture of Carson Mansion, located in Old Town Eureka, California. Clubs Deuce is a goofy-seeming fellow, perfectly happy for the opportunity to blow people up. Likewise, Gamzee Makara, a goofy fellow turned slasher villain, has club kind for his strife specibus, and wields the Deuce clubs. In one of Lord English's infamous alt text, the only letters that are solid black instead of flashing in several colors are his initials, L.E. The Midnight Crew's Act 3 intermission was written to help invest in the villainous nature of Jack Noir. Hussey confirms this, saying that, though the intermission seemed tangential, and most certainly was, without the intermission, Jack Noir's future actions would have had much less meaning. The intermission got us to see how one of the comic's most threatening, yet beloved, villains ticked, and even expanded Spade Slick as a character in his own right in the process. The entirety of the Felt album is a work of art. Every single song in the album is a phonetic palindrome.
A what?
A phonetic palindrome is a portion of sound or phrase of speech that is identical or roughly identical when reversed.
Oh.
The songs also contain several repeated samples that are slowed down or sped up throughout. Considering the time-based gimmicks that the Felt and their boss get up to, the music style and technique is a perfect match. One of the big rules of the universe, as brought up in Act 3's intermission, is that no one must ever kill Snowman. This is because, on her death, the universe ends. G frickin' G. This harkens back to Billiards again, because if either player get the 8-ball into a pocket before all the other colored balls have, it's game over for everyone. Wait, speaking of the billiard balls, did Doc Scratch die before or after Snowman?
I don't see how that matters in the long run.
What do you mean?
Well, Doc Scratch's name has a double meaning. Not only does he appear in the Trolls universe after a scratched session of the game, but a scratch in pool is when the cue ball falls in a pocket on the table. This causes the current player's turn to end and the next player to start their turn.
So if Doc Scratch's death is synonymous to a scratch in pool,
and Lord English can only start to enter a game at the end of a universe. Hussy!
That being said, Doc Scratch was an excellent host for Lord English. Host plush. Flashbacks. Oh gosh. Ew. On that note, in pool, the term English means to put a spin on the cue ball. This can be further expanded with the phrase putting a spin on, meaning to give new interpretation or meaning to something. So, Lord English is the new interpretation of Doc Scratch. It's funny how closely connected Doc Scratch and Lord English are, isn't it?
They are literally the same person.
Yeah, but I was trying to build up that Hussy said that it seems possible that Lord English and Doc Scratch were the mirthful messiahs in Alternian's juggalo religion all along.
What?
Yeah, but it might not be all that true. Hussy's comments are full of half-truths, which often lead to false conclusions. Note the word, it seems.
Ugh, why can we not trust the creator of this webcomic?
Back with the good doctor, Doc Scratch says that he is a soldier in a war of one bullet fired. Which bullet? Why, the bullet fired by Spade Slick at Snowman, the one that kills her and destroys the universe, which summons Lord English. But here's a fun fact. Going back to cards, Spade Slick is depicted as an ace. Snowman is depicted as an 8-ball. The name of a hand with 2 black aces and 2 black 8s in poker is the dead man's hand. The name that Caliborn settled on for the species that make up the majority of the felt is Leprechaun, coincidentally revealed in the comic very close to St. Patrick's Day. While Homestuck's leprechauns are made of felt and usually have access to some level of time-space technology or ability, anatomy-wise they are still shaped similarly to the carapacians of Durst and Prospit. This is probably because both species are generated from the mechanics of the Spurb game. The leprechaun species also has a complex system of romance, an obvious ploy of Hussies trying to troll us with an overload of unnecessary details to keep track of. But seeing as one loyal viewer has asked me to look into leprechaun romance, I'll be brief. Leprechaun romance comprises of a pair of leprechauns trying to cover as many of the 9 types of relationships of their kind as possible. The level of their relationship is shown in elaborate jigs they perform, which vary depending on the types of relationships the two share. Only one of the relationships is equivalent to human love, or Alternia's flush quadrant. The rest find their basis on pranks, riddles, and games of chance. Each of the relationship sections are defined with charm symbols that look like the ones on Problem Sleuth's phone and the marshmallows from the Lucky Charms cereal, who just so happen to have a leprechaun as a mascot. Phew! Good thing General Mills doesn't own anything else that have nefarious ties and Homestuck, or else I'd become so suspicious and paranoid. Thank you guys so much for watching this Fridgestuck episode for the Midnight Crew and the Felt. I hope you enjoyed. Were there any facts that I missed? Are there any characters or aspects of Homestuck you want to see explored in one of these episodes? Leave it down in a comment below, and it may just wind up on the show someday. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe if you want for more, and I will see you all next time. Bye!
This woman is my destiny, she said. Ooh.